Between the 21 days, it has to still sit on the egg. Whether it rains or shines, it has to sit on the egg until the 21st day. And when you had the dream to come out with this Shine Summit, you did sit on your egg. And today is your 21st day. So congratulations to you, Kobe. It's your 21st day. I always say that it takes a village to raise a journalist, and I'm humbled that those who did help raise me up are here. And thank you so much. I'm getting ready to start. I'm a shy person though, but I'll see how I can overcome the shyness. So I'll start with a little piece of my journey with you. I was in class 3 one day when there was a lady wearing black came to look for me. She said she was my relative, so we went home. Apparently, my father had died. I had never met my father in my life before. So everyone was wondering, what will become of your life? And I just said, God will determine what will become of me. So I had many professions I wanted to become. So first of all, I said I wanted to become a medical doctor, but my math was terrible. Then I said I wanted to become a lawyer, and then someone told me when lawyers die, they're turned upside down because they cannot meet their creator. And I said, oh, if that's the reason, then I won't become a lawyer. So I was wondering what I'll become someday till I went to Ewutu in the central region. My mom is a nurse and she was posted there. There was no electricity over there. So the radio became my friend and I was listening to BBC Focus on Africa. I heard Kweku Sechiado, how he'll take a simple story from Ghana and make it a global one. How he'll interview an ordinary human being and blow the person up. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to become someday. So I went to senior high school. I went to Gabor Girls Senior High School. And then me that was afraid of mathematics, I was given elective maths, I was given economics, I was given geography and literature. And I was wondering, how will I sail through? So I went to the headmistress and told her to change my course, and they were like, they can't do anything about it. So the first time I wrote my elective math paper, my highest score was 2%. Yeah, clapping for me. And I was wondering how I could do so well in literature and other subjects, and then get to elective maths, and I'm struggling. I'm even last but one in class. So I went back to the headmistress. I want to change my course. She said no, and we're inching closer to writing our WASI. But one day there was a competition in school, and they needed the best student in science and maths, as well as the best student in literature, English, and current affairs. So we went for the competition. It started with elective maths, and when the quiz master would ask the question, I'll be drawing flowers and pretending I'm actually answering a maths question. It got to science too. I was also drawing flowers, and my friends were laughing at me. So after the first 3 rounds, our school was last but one. There was left with the last round, which was English, literature, current affairs. And when it got there, the other contestants, no one could answer those questions, and I answered with a bonus. Then by the time I realized the school that was last but one became first, just because I answered the literature and then extra questions on current affairs. I learned a lesson that day, that if I could focus on my strengths and work on my weaknesses, perhaps I could make it in life. So it was time for me to write my WASI. I'd done everything. It's not a case of me not understanding mathematics. I think mathematics did not understand me. So the WASI time came, and then I saw the questions. Before that, I sat my mom down and I told her that, Ma, I'm going to write this paper, but I'm prophesying to you that I'm going to come out with an F in elective maths. But don't worry, I will try so hard to make it work with my core maths, so that at least I get a pass mark to the university. And she was like, what kind of prophecy is this? So WASI also came. I rewrote the questions back to the examiner, and I drew my flowers again. So lo and behold, the results came and my prophecy came to pass. I had my F in elective maths. And then I remember school authorities asking me, what will happen, what will become of you? I said they shouldn't worry. Luckily, I did so well with my core math. At least I had my pass mark in core math, and then I could go to university. So while waiting for my results then, I was teaching some children in my neighborhood. So while teaching them, I'll just take a newspaper and I'll pretend as if I am a newscaster on TV3. I wasn't yet at TV3, but I'll just take and then pretend I was a newscaster, and then the kids will all be laughing. Then it was something we were doing every day. Little did I know that that was actually preparing me for my role or my career in the media. I did national service at Information Services Department at the Ministry of Information. Anytime we'll go on a break, I'll just take a newspaper and then I'll pretend as if I'm a news anchor at TV3. Then one day, a colleague of mine would just take his phone and then record me, and then we'll all be laughing. While we were doing that routine one day, we saw an advert on TV. TV3 was looking for a news anchor and journalist, and then in that room, all eyes turned to me and were like, "This is you. I think TV3 is looking for you." I was a very shy person, and I had big ears. Are they still big? And that day, I was in ponytail, so it meant my ears were sticking out, and I had to go and take a passport picture. So I took that passport picture with my both ears glaring out. But interestingly, when the news editor saw that picture, it is what attracted him to me, my ears. Because in his family, many people in his family had the same ears as mine. So he actually called to see me first to do the first interview. So something that I was actually running away from is actually what led to my breakthrough. And I remember I was wondering what will become of my life. I went to ICGC and then I heard Dr. Otabo preach, and the title was The Making of a King, how God picked David up from a shepherd boy and put him into the king's palace. So I prayed a prayer that day. I was like, God, if you could do this with David, can you do the same thing with me? And I think God heard me. So I got employment at TV3 Network. And then it was just a promotion from being in the wilderness into the king's palace. Little did I know that that was where the real test would come. So for example, you need to learn how to speak English well. Sometimes the English you are speaking, you are actually not speaking it well. So for example, the word says, it is actually says. Soften, the T is silent, it is soften. It's not jeopardy, it's jeopardy. It's not climb, it's climb. And then it's not bomber, it's bomber. I did not know about all these things. So with my natural training, I didn't go to any broadcasting school to learn how to read. So I'll go on air and I'll say these things, and then Uncle Tommy would call me. I was like, "You butchered this word." And I had to relearn English again. At that time, it meant that your employers would take you off air for you to learn. And I was being given the little news bulletins to read. So I was like, okay, it's a setback for me, but I'll get myself a dictionary. Uncle Tommy would call me and then help me occasionally. And I'll relearn how to speak English once again. And then there was one time I walked to the office and then the security man saw me and he started laughing. And I asked, what is it? He said I should pick graphic showbiz. I opened it and there was a lecturer at the University of Ghana who had written the list of news anchors whose pronunciation were bad, and my name was part of those. I was like, oh my God, this is the end. I'm not going to read the news again. So it was time for me to read, and I actually drafted my resignation letter in my head and what I was going to do. It was time for me to read the news, and then all of a sudden, I started crying. We were on a commercial break. I started with sports news, and then I was crying, not like I was crying, mom. And then when they usually count down from 10, 9, 8. So it got to 3, 2, 1, and then the director will say, kill sound, take reader, cue. So immediately you hear the word cue, they'll press a button, and then that's where you see us in your homes on the television screen. So after the time they were at 3, 2, 1, I was still crying, ma. And then it got to 3, 2, 1, kill sound, take reader. So just when the switcher pressed the button, guess what happened? There was light off in the whole of Ghana that day. Immediately, I knew there was a power greater than me that caused this to happen. And I was like, okay, did God send an angel to cause a problem in the whole of Ghana just for me to be saved? I was like, if this is what actually happened, then I have no excuse than to excel in my profession. So when people were reading, my colleagues were reading the major news bulletins, I would sit behind and go through the scripts. One day I was going through a script. I saw that a member of parliament had donated drinks to a community. She donated the drinks because two school children drowned while they were on their way to seek quality education. Immediately I knew there was a problem. They did not need drinks. They either needed life jackets or they needed a school in their community. It wasn't my story, it was someone else's story. So I sought permission from my senior colleague and I was like, I'm going back to that community to do the story that he did, because the focus of that story was about the MP giving drinks to the community. So I went back to
but those were the days. No sensationalism. Mechanisms were put in place. You have to follow. Straight jacket broadcasting. If you laugh on the air, they'll give you a query. You have to answer. But they say that the pen is mightier than the sword, right? But the microphone through which I speak is mightier than the pen. With a pen, you can write something, block something, make a mistake, insult somebody, retract. The microphone is different. You cannot retract what you have said. You can only apologize, but then the damage would have been done. So those of you who want to be broadcasters, bloggers, you need to ask yourself, am I ready for that kind of profession? Am I ready to learn from others? Am I ready to take inspiration, be passionate about the job? It's not about having to do the job, but wanting to do the job. They are two different things. And if you think that getting up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning to go to work, it is no joke. You can ask Portia. I did it for so many years. Even to the point where I experienced 3 coup d'etats and had to still go to work. And when Sojaman says, stop, show your ID, your heart moves from the left to the right and then to the back. And those were some of the things about the job that you want to do. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, let me switch. I'm not going to take too long. What do we see and hear today? Broadcasting has taken a huge nosedive. Why? Because it's now a commercial entity. When I left GBC after 16 years and started Joy FM on the 1st of May 1995 as the first voice on Joy FM, I was given an experience. I was given the leeway to explode with my talents. Even though a couple of times I laughed on air on GBC, I got into trouble. But I said, take me as I am, or dismiss me. That was how the advent of laughter started on radio. But when I started on Joy FM, I exploded with everything that I had. But, ladies and gentlemen, I knew my parameters. I knew where to stop. Not stepping on people's toes, not insulting anybody, but rather trying to inspire people. That was what I tried to do. But please, ask yourselves, how many of you in this room today can listen to radio and enjoy radio? Seriously, I cannot. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people, yes. But if you listen to radio, or mainstream radio, or the media, for me, I'm sorry to say this, it is the truth. It is appalling. It is horrible. To the extent that today, everything you listen to involves politics. Even mosquito will pass, they say politics. You see a concrete, they say NDC, NDP. That is not the issue. The issue is, how are you going to impact society when you get into the media? Look at blogging today. And this is where Hobby stands alone in what he's trying to do. And for that, I salute you, Hobby. All you see is blogging, entertainment. Today, they are pitching one person against the other, causing more commotion without checking their facts. Today, Shatawale has done this. Tomorrow, this person has done that. Then there's an insult. Tomorrow, Nana McBrown has done this. Hey, then there's insult. What impact are you creating? What are you teaching the children of tomorrow? They will follow us. They might follow you. And this is where, once again, I acknowledge Obije. Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourselves, the elderly ones in this room today, how many teenagers will stand in front of you and put their hands behind their back? Today it's in their pockets. And they stand and say, yeah, bro, what's up?